Have any of you realized that you were the crazy boy girlfriend? My ex-girlfriend better show up on this thread at some point. I was really in love with this girl I dated for 3 years. Like, really 3. I wanted nothing with anyone else. I never showed these feelings, except for maybe a few times, and was always a bit distant because I felt like I would seem like the crazy clingy person and she would leave me. I wasn't being the knight in shining armor I wanted to be to her because I was scared. After a while she decided I wasn't the one for her because I was too distant after so long and she left me. Afterwards, I started doing everything I had always wanted to do, like leaving her little notes and having flowers for her at home, and just every little thing I could do to show her that she really was my whole world, which turns out is what she wanted the whole time. But it was too late and she was no longer in love with me, so it just looked like I was the crazy guy I never wanted to be in the first place and it drove her even further away. This was 3 weeks ago. I'm terribly depressed about it. TLDR. Be who you want to be with someone. Don't be scared of what they might think. If who you really are gets rejected, then it's not meant to be. Edit. Words in it. Edit to end it. Thank you for 10 golds. Though it feels like a bad luck Brian meme. Still awesome though. I've tried to respond to as many of you as possible because I know this isn't really a unique situation and I know them feels. Thank you all for your comments and supports. I was burying her alive in the graveyard because I foolishly thought it was the only way to end the relationship and she just kept shouting you're crazy. But I didn't pay any attention to it, but a couple of days later I realized something. I've never had a girlfriend. I'm still too scared to go find out who the hell it was that I buried out there. When I made a fake Facebook to try to flirt with my girlfriend to see if I could trust her, nothing really caused the clarity. Just kind of one of those what the duck am I doing moments. Got paranoid. Figured out her VM passcode. Listened to a voicemail of a guy telling her that he'll miss her over the weekend and loves her. I confronted her about it and she denied it. I played it for her and suddenly realized it was me from a couple years earlier. She had saved it because it was sweet. When my ex broke up with me, I destroyed all 4 of her tires so she can't go anywhere. Preinternet. High school sweetheart. With all the dysfunction that comes with that. We were very off and on for about 5 years. When we were off, I would drive by his work, a fast food place, to see if he was working. But the worst, we were supposed to meet at an ice cream parlor in town. I got there after him, and he was sitting at a table with a girl I knew by reputation only, and it wasn't a good one. Remember, this was 30 years ago. I've outgrown this attitude. I reversed the car and left without going in because I was so offended that he was sitting with this girl. He called my house. I refused his calls. Completely cut him off with zero explanation. Months later, back from college, I bumped into him at a party. She was there too. He said, "What happened to you? I wanted to introduce you to my sister, the girl with the bad reputation." Full stop. Yeah, I was an idiot. We kept trying for another year or so, but I could never let go of the fact that I was that stupid and judgmental. I had one moment after high school where I realized I was kind of a nutcase. I dated one guy through my junior and senior year, and for a little bit in college. We moved in together before the split, along with 2 of our other friends. When we broke up, we were still sharing a room. We had separate beds, but it was the most uncomfortable thing in the world. We were still sleeping together and going out on dates, but we were also seeing other people. He started getting phone calls from this girl he met at a concert. This was before social networking was a big thing. So even though I knew her name, I couldn't really get a lot of information on her. I became slightly obsessed. I needed to know what she did, what she looked like, how serious they were. I knew he was taking her out one night and the movie they were going to. I showed up, basically stalked them all night and then thought about following them out of the theater to see where they went. Clicked at that moment that I was being psychotic. After that I made our breakup a more real thing and moved on. I wouldn't say crazy, I'd say lazy. I was the lazy boyfriend, which made her crazy. Slowly over time, it was like getting crushed by a glacier. Yep, about 2 months afterwards, I was pretty clingy and would give up everything else to be with her. I dropped friends and family. Total devotion to her. I was thinking about the way I had acted and was like, I can see why we are no longer together. I have changed since then. I've realized I was a pathetic ex who chased my ex for over a year after breaking up and made no attempts to get over it. Edit. Dang. That's a lot of upvotes. Thanks. It almost makes the ittiest year of my life worth it. When my first girlfriend abruptly dumped me, I was shattered. She did not remember that she gave me a key when I dog sat her dog while she was in Hawaii with her parents. So after the breakup, I slept under her bed for a whole month to see if she would bring anyone else to bed. Finally, she brought home her ex-boyfriend, and as soon as I heard their voices out, I slowly rolled out from underneath. Slowly, so as not to startle anyone, and started moaning. This is wrong. This is wrong. The guy kicked my ass. I called the cops on him for assaulting me, and the cop arrested me for trespassing and stalking. A few days later I was waiting on her porch waiting for her to get home, and she came home again with him. I had a can of Raid with me in case he tried to attack me again, but they talked to me and told me I was being unreasonable and that she didn't want to see me anymore. She just said, "You're being crazy" 3 times in a row, and then it sunk in. I was acting a little obsessive. Edit. No deception intended. I wrote this only for entertainment. Thanks for the upvotes and gold. I hacked into her email account to see if she was cheating on me or talking behind my back. This was a long distance relationship, and I was having doubts. Though she was actually cheating on me, a couple months beforehand, she had broken up with me because she apparently didn't have time for a relationship. I told her a couple days later I started dating a new girl. Totally fake. And about a week later, she was begging for me back. I also blamed the email hacking on my fake girlfriend, and made an email account for the fake GF so she, me, could talk to the real GF about me. I might have been a bit crazy looking back on it. Edit. I am probably not your ex BF GF. My name is Jordan, in case you think I'm your ex. I was trashed, in my underwear, outside of her apartment, throwing rocks at the garage door, screaming at her for not being a big enough bitch. And it started because I wanted chocolate milk but was too drunk lazy to walk to the store. Then it hit me. Gumby, you are a ducking lunatic. Created a fake account on Gmail to talk to him and make him like my alter ego. Started as a joke. Ended up as a way to test him. He ended up getting close to her and said a couple of negative things to her about me. But it was just completely stupid and crazy of me to test him like that. I completely regret everything to do with that. 0/10 would recommend. Edit. Okay. So I managed to talk to him and him to not suspect anything by going on a game site and striking up a conversation. Then swapping emails. Built up a close relationship over the next month or so and asked him if he had a girlfriend. He said yes. So I asked him about her. He ended up saying that if he met up with her, non-existent person, he'd have sex with her. I disregarded this, as I knew he could easily be lying, and said various other sexual stuff. Then I got him talking about his girlfriend, me, and he said that he'd swap her in for someone else if he could, or something along those lines. I ended up breaking up over it, but I was too crazy to stop there. I didn't tell him that it had been me. I just kept sending him messages as her, and tried to cheer him up, thinking that I could help him, but he got so attached to her that it was unhealthy. He received a tip-off from somebody, still don't know who, neither does he, that she wasn't who she said she was. So I ended up telling him that it was me all along. He wasn't happy, however. He must be just as crazy as me because a while after this we were boyfriend and girlfriend again, which also ended badly. Now we're just goo friends. TL. Doctor, we're both pretty crazy. Yes, very early on, she sometimes loses some of her long blonde hairs. I collect those in a box at home. Also stole one of her used underwear to sniff and masturbate to at home. I secretly recorded her moaning during sex and listened to it almost daily, making her extra drunk on some nights so she's willing to do more sexually. Some pretty messed up stuff. When he cheated on me in plain sight, and I instead blamed myself for it, and begged for his forgiveness. Talk about a lack of self-respect. faked a pregnancy to keep him from leaving me, held onto his car while he was trying to drive away, internet stalked him and his new GF after breaking up. Yes, I was once the crazy you shouldn't stick your D in. A couple of times I've gotten really attached to guys in my class at school, and after getting their numbers and finding out they didn't feel the same about me, I'd text them song lyrics. Not so much a crazy girlfriend, just a crazy person. I came to realize that I am the crazy boyfriend, and that I need an equally crazy girlfriend in order to be happy. Till Reddit should have an overly attached boyfriend meme. After my first relationship, I got a female friend of mine to play along with the story that I had been cheating on my ex with her for the entire relationship. I am not proud. Only when my ex got in touch on Facebook and reminded me of all the weird stuff I did, I'd forgotten most of it. I tried to laugh it off, but really I was thinking, who else has she told about this? Edit. Apparently the answer is everyone. Idiasis? After I broke up with my ex, I decided to log onto his Facebook to see what he had said about the breakup to other people. I didn't even find anything bad, but proceeded to change his password to thisiswhatioudakinjat and then change his email account's password as well, just so it would be a little harder for him to get his Facebook back. I may have also liked all of my profile pictures whilst on his account. Edit. Yes, I was the one who broken up with him. I had very good reason to, which made the thisiswhatioudakinjat password very relevant and necessary. Edit 2. Yes, it is a really itty idea to share passwords. When I chased her down the street while coming on myself. Oh gosh, I was sick and I had just met this guy through work. Being that I had just moved to a new city, I didn't have a car, so he volunteered to take me to the store and then drive me home afterwards. When he came into my apartment, I begged him to stay the night with me, claiming that I couldn't sleep alone and that I would be miserable if he left. I blamed the medicine, but I was psycho. I didn't realize so much as I've always known I'm the crazy one. I regret nothing. Been there. As a guy, I pretty much put the rest of my life on pause just to be around her. I was very much playing the role of a lapdog. Willfully. It's funny, when I look back at the situation, I realize it was because I was generally unhappy with my career. I was in a bit of a funk and I wasn't in a good headspace. So in a way her positive energy was a distraction from my own reality, but that it catches up to you. Eventually you have to confront your own internal issues and get past them. Can't look back with regrets though. I think everything happens for a reason. And if you learn from your mistakes and can grow from them into a better person, then it was worth the experience. Edit. Thank you to those who have expressed empathy. My girlfriend hadn't had any real friends since we started dating. I hadn't forbidden or anything, we just lived together and she didn't have a car and couldn't drive. Well, she started college and eventually got some friends. She called me and asked if I would mind if she went to see a movie with a male friend. I was very upset. This was over texts. I basically threw a temper tantrum at home. But after a few minutes I forced myself to look at it fairly and I begrudgingly told her it was okay because I didn't want to be a jealous, controlling boyfriend. As they hung out I became very paranoid, checking her phone when she was asleep, staying up till she got back, running to the peephole when I heard her outside to see them. Well, I was right. She was cheating on me and left me a few weeks later. Here's where it really gets crazy though. I didn't care. I love that women more than our language has the capacity to express. I was willing to be the other man. Now that's ducking crazy. But I let her go when she moved out. No chasing or anything. In retrospect I realized that it was probably over before I even knew there were problems. Which is what has haunted me the most. She never gave me one shred of reason why she fell out of love with me. Please, give others closure. No matter how hard it is to look them in their crying eyes. Tell them what you couldn't handle and leave. I didn't realize until later, but I changed everything about myself for him. Dropped out of college. Moved out of my house. Took a crappy job doing the same thing he did. I basically ruined my life to be together, and the worst part was he was an asshole. He wasn't actually my boyfriend. He was my best friend that I was convinced I was in love with. I was pretty pathetic. The things I said and did make me cringe now. I didn't realize how crazy I was being until I moved on and met a wonderful guy, and my former best friend suddenly decided he was in love with me, with the roles reversed. I have had so many deja vu moments when he says things that I used to say, and it does come across as crazy and pathetic. I'm glad I was able to move on and grow up. Yes, super over jealous, and I look back on it now and regret it. Without trust there is nothing in a relationship. Just wish I realized it sooner. After a week of tripping on mushrooms every other day or so, he tried to break up with me, and I told him it wasn't in accordance with the prophecy. Well, I guess we weren't exactly dating so much as he got kicked out and needed a place to stay, so I'll let him sleep in my bed. Hacked into girlfriend's Facebook and told every guy that has messaged her to duck off. When I told her that unless she stopped itching at me I would throw myself down a flight of stairs, it hurt worse than expected. I wasn't the crazy boyfriend, but I've turned into the crazy ex. To be fair, she's not made things very easy for me. I was in a relationship for 3 years, paid for everything, rent, food, power etc. She had a child, not mine, and I was essentially his father for those 3 years. Because we were on one income, it was tight. I was paying off her debt so we could afford to do things together. While it felt like she didn't contribute much at all, this eventually led to our breakup. Because we didn't have much money we couldn't do much together. I was working all day. She was incredibly bored, and when I came home I was exhausted and wanted to relax. She found her own passions, and I'm pretty sure through that she met someone new. Because after 2 months of us being broken up, 3 years I remind you, she is officially in a new relationship. That it hurts. So I've become the crazy ex. I have told her that she is on her own now. She can't afford it. I have a lot of debt that we were paying off as a couple, and I have told her it's hers. She's gone from being on one fairly comfortable income to being on the benefit, car loans, bank loans, you name it. She has no credit and can't afford her style of living anymore. My words to her, too ducking bad. I'm not a bad person, but I feel awful for saying your problem now. Actually putting that down on paper doesn't make me seem so crazy at all. No, but realized that he was when his other girlfriend started messaging me. Found out we had a lot in common and we're relatively similar looking, and we became friends and both left him. Kind of. I realized that her crazy was making me act crazy. Basically, she was jealous and distrusting, which led to arguments anytime I attempted to do anything without her. Eventually, I found myself going into conversations defensive and already angry. Because I anticipated the fight, I had become a generally angry person, and I didn't like it, so I split. Edit. Jesus. I'm sorry this is so common. I feel your feels. Brothers. Jealousy is love cancer. Hopefully we all learn to see the symptoms at least. I was dating this guy and his ex kept calling him all the time. It bothered me, so I kept watering this itty bonsai tree she had bought him with orange juice. He couldn't understand why it was dying. I realized the poor tree was innocent in all of this, stopped poisoning it, and got over her calling him. The bonsai didn't make it. When she broke up with me, my first instinct was to list everything I hated about her and our relationship, even though she was crying. Internet relationships are just the best. I was most definitely the crazy boyfriend. I would go through her phone, was constantly jealous, suspicious, and it finally led me to figure out that she was in fact cheating. I sometimes think about how much of a lunatic I used to be, and cringe about it. I'm in a new relationship. Never had one urge to go through my girlfriend's phone. Never jealous or suspicious. Feels good. Yeah. When I let a guy see the jealousy and insecurity that I try so hard to hide, then I know I've crossed the line into crazy. People, your insecurities are personality and relationship destroyers. Address them. Face yourself honestly, not harshly. Honestly. See a therapist. They're not for crazy people. Therapists give people tools to change behaviors they can't change on their own. That's it. You're not crazy. Seriously. It's that most people don't have the tools to deal with negative self-perception or destructive behaviors in a productive or reasonable way. No. If you look at my girl again I will ducking cut you. There was this one time I was living with a girl I was totally in love with. I was the perfect boyfriend, did her laundry, made her bed, organized her sock drawer. Then she found me. I did donuts, the vehicular kind, on the front lawn of my ex-girlfriend's house at 2 AM in the morning. The next day it occurred to me that there might be a legitimate reason for why she broke up with me. A few years ago I gave the guy I lost my virginity to a second chance. I had the feeling he was ducking around, so when he passed out at a party I went in his pocket and got his cell phone. He had been seeing at least 7 other girls, so I obviously went crazy. Instead of waking him up I started texting all of these girls, and none of them wanted to believe me. BC, he was so perfect and most of them thought I was insane. One girl actually showed up at the party. He was still passed out in the driveway, and I told her everything. After I was done going through his phone I deleted all his contacts and then walked back to where he was passed out and had some friends wake him up with my arm around the other girl. The guys helped him stand up and the look on his face was priceless when he saw the two of us together. I just looked at him and said, "Hey baby, I wanted you to meet my new friend. You know her, right?" And he said, "No, I don't know her." Me, "Are you sure?" BC, "I know you're ducking her." And after that I said a lot of mean, hateful things, followed by me spitting in his face and him leaving the state 2 days later with another girl. Throwaway time. We were both the crazy ones. He was physically and mentally abusive. I was very depressed at this time and self-harmed on a regular basis. We would get into arguments that stemmed from nothing and escalated to him holding me against a wall, calling me slut, whore, etc. Never cheated, BTW. After this I would lock myself in the bathroom and cut. One particular time he broke the door down, and in actually trying to help me, I almost cut his index finger off with a hunting knife. After hours in the hospital, being questioned by police, he didn't press charges. You think we'd have learned a lesson? Nope. This kind of behavior went on for about another year. Today I'm happily married and emotionally stable. I don't know about him, because we live in different states. I hope he got help, as I did. I dated a girl for a year and a couple months and she dumped me out of the blue over Facebook, changed her relationship status to single. She then refused to answer any phone calls. I showed up at her work, and it was really busy and she couldn't talk. She said she would come over after work but she never did. I texted her a million times a day. She would ignore me and then say she would come over tomorrow and talk and pick up her stuff. There was a lot. Something would come up and she would say she would come over the next day. I had painted a picture of her and her horse as a surprise gift, and had a plan for when she came over to talk. I would show her the finished painting, and tell her how much I cared about her. I wrote out what I wanted to say and practiced saying it. After about a month of her ignoring me except to say she would come over tomorrow, she finally picked up the phone when I called. I couldn't believe it. I was trembling. I told her the speech I had memorized. She didn't give two ducks. She said she would be by tomorrow to pick up her things. It suddenly clicked how crazy obsessed I was being. I had wasted a month sitting at home waiting for her to show up. I hung up, ripped the painting I made for her in two and threw all of it in the trash. A full garbage bag full of clothes, jewelry and stuff. It felt great. I then told her I threw her stuff in the trash, called her some nasty names and never talked to her again. That felt even better.